Hello, I'm Edward October. Over the years, I've narrated more ghost stories, horror shows, and creepypastas than I can count. And yet, the crimes discussed on our true crime podcast managed to scare the shit out of me. This program is not suitable for children or the faint of heart. If you are such a person, go ahead and switch off this podcast. Listen to something else. Are you still with us? Well, we've warned you.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, Cam, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am so much better. I spent almost the entire week last week in bed. If you think I sound a little funny, it's because I still have a little bit of that upper respiratory infection. But we're going to plow through today.
Yes, we are.
So, apologies.
Yes, we are.
All right.
Apologies in advance. Let's hear it.
And then you guys might want to stay tuned till the very end because Camille and I have something we want to talk about.
We have a very special announcement.
Yeah, something that could be very fun.
Yes.
All right. You ready?
Yes.
All right. By the way, this has been requested by our friend Holly Elenor.
Thanks, Holly.
I think it was Instagram that she contacted me. I'm not for sure. I believe it was Instagram. So, all righty.
Let's hear it.
All right. The entertainment district of Beale Street in Memphis, Tennessee draws people from all over the world to participate in its blues music and dine on its famous Memphis-style barbecue, which is so yummy.
It's my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Home of Sun Studios and Graceland, it's often referred to as the birthplace of rock and roll. So it might surprise some people to find a little hotspot, an inconspicuous-looking building where the Latin beats pulse through the crowd of dancers. They go there for the salsa dancing with its fast, syncopated celebration of life. And dancers are bathed in pink and purple lights and sweat the night away. It was there, in that little rumba room, where Heather Palumbo-Jones would spend one of her last happy nights on Earth, wearing a brand new dress and a big, beaming smile. She danced for 3 hours with one of her best friends, something she might not have been able to do just a year or two earlier. But there she was, dancing with everybody, joyful and elated. And it would turn out that it was not just one of her last happy nights on Earth, but it was one of her last nights on Earth, period. Heather Lee Palumbo was born on March of 1980 in Jacksonville, Florida. One of 4 children, Heather was a ray of sunshine to most people who knew her. Her friends say that if Heather were a color, she would have been bright yellow. She was tall, energetic, enthusiastic, and dependable. She was particularly close to her cousin Diane Perry. When Heather moved to Tennessee to go to college, so did Diane. And not only did they go to school together, but they got an apartment together. They also shared a social circle, and they both attended a Y2K party on New Year's in 1999. There, Heather struck up a conversation with a man named Chris Jones. He was 10 years her senior. His broad knowledge of the world instantly took her, and Heather found conversations with him utterly fascinating. And on the way home from that party, Heather couldn't stop talking about this new man. She spoke to him on the phone the next day, and they started dating. And within weeks, Heather moved Chris into her apartment. Now, this caused a bit of friction between her and her cousin, because honestly, it was Diane's house too, and Diane was less than thrilled with the new living arrangements.
Pretty quick, too.
I would be really upset, to be quite honest. Not only was Heather tall, but she was chubby. And after hooking up with Chris, she started to gain more weight. They had a very sedentary lifestyle, and much of their free time was spent playing online video games and eating fast food. And Heather began to gain weight at an alarming rate. And according to a Dateline episode, Heather's cousin Diane stated that Heather gained nearly 250 pounds within a year and a half. But other sources put that number close to 160 pounds. Either way, it's a significant amount of weight to gain.
In a short amount of time.
And just on a side note here, I really feel gross talking about her body and everything, but it's pertinent to the story. Even though Heather was depressed about the weight gain, Chris said he didn't mind. He loved her no matter what size she was. And Chris made Heather feel beautiful, cared for, loved, and special. And considering he never finished college, never chose a career, and just sort of meandered through life without many friends, it was really in his best interest to make her feel that way. Tensions came to a head when Heather's cousin Diane told Heather that Chris either needed to move out or they both had to go. Heather chose to go with Chris. However, the two cousins would patch the relationship within months. On the 7th of August, 2004, Heather Palumbo married Chris Jones, and the couple had 2 children right away. And with each child, Heather gained more weight. And since Heather wanted to be an elementary school teacher, Chris decided to stay home with the kids while Heather worked and went to school to finish her degree. It ended up taking her almost 10 years to get her 4-year college degree. And according to some sources, by the time of her graduation, Heather weighed around 400 pounds. Graduating from the University of Memphis and getting a job as a teacher for Memphis City Schools made Heather realize that she really could achieve anything that she put her mind to. So her next goal was to lose the excess weight that she had gained from the sedentary lifestyle and pregnancies. She signed up for a high-powered dance class with instructor and Memphis police officer Carrie Cooper. And if you watch the Dateline episode with This Is On, she's a force. I really like Carrie. I'd take her to rumba classes or her salsa classes. I liked her. She's spunky. Heather attended the dance classes as if they were her happy hour. You know, she got off work, she went to dance class, and then she went home happy. She made many new friends who were so supportive of her, and they all had the same goals she did. She wanted just to be healthier and happier. And within weeks, the pounds just started melting off. And 18 months later, Heather had lost almost 160 pounds.
Wow.
And even better, she landed her dream job teaching kindergarten at Fraser Achievement Elementary. Everything was going her way. Now, most husbands would have been elated to see their wives take charge of their health, and most husbands would have been happy for their wife's successes. Chris Jones? No, not him. He wasn't happy. In fact, it's been reported that he would deliberately take fast food to Heather and at one point even told her that he wanted her to gain the weight back.
Huh.
His behavior became irrational and controlling. And one of Heather's friends described him as, quote, strange and kind of creepy. And it's reported that he even cheated on Heather and was surprised that there were repercussions for that action. And as often is the case with relationships, the tighter Chris pulled on the strings, the more Heather resisted. He belittled her at parties and was jealous that she had friends. Some sources say that their arguments became violent, and even Heather herself stated that at one point, he knocked her down and tried to strangle her. And finally, Heather had enough and she just wanted out of the marriage. On January 4th, 2013, Heather moved into a rented apartment a short distance from Chris on Poplar Avenue in Germantown, and it was at the end of an isolated road. Aside from a year of ups and downs, the main catalyst for this decision was the fact that Heather had found text messages on her husband's phone indicating that he was cheating on her again. And when he discovered that she was reading his texts, he wrestled her to the ground to pry the phone from her hands. Heather then filed an order for protection against him, but the order was dismissed when she didn't attend the hearing. It seems that 2 days before that scheduled hearing, Heather had filed for divorce, and it's unclear as to why she didn't keep the scheduled hearing for the protection order, unless she thought maybe she didn't need it once she filed for divorce. But that's pure speculation on my part. We just don't know why that happened. On March 1st, Chris also filed for divorce and asked for full custody of their 2 children. But for the time being, they shared joint custody of their son and daughter. Chris was obsessed with the idea that Heather would try to take the children from him. But remember, he was also completely dependent on her. After all, she was the breadwinner. Clearly, Chris felt that he was the victim in this scenario, even though he had cheated on her and had physically assaulted her and not the other way around. Heather tried to assuage his fears by letting him keep their son most of the time, and she kept their daughter most of the time. Her thought process was by making sure Chris had at least one of the children with him, he might be better adjusted to the new situation. And she didn't want to, quote, awake the sleeping beast. Now, Heather was very responsible, right? We talked about that a little bit earlier. And she never missed a day of work without good reason. And she certainly would never miss a day without making arrangements for a substitute teacher for her students. But on Tuesday, the 16th of April, Heather didn't show for work. In fact, her coworkers were really alarmed by that fact that Heather was absent. As a rule, Heather was always the first one there, usually a full 2 hours before the students arrived. School officials couldn't reach Heather by phone, so they called her cousin Diane, who was on Heather's emergency contact list. And when Diane received the phone call from the school, she immediately went to Heather's apartment. I mean, Diane wasn't panicking because she thought Heather was sick, had the flu or something, and probably slept through the alarm.
I don't think anybody really thinks the worst.
You never think the worst. You don't want to think the worst.
No.
When Diane arrived to the apartment, there was Heather's car parked right where it was supposed to be, which was very encouraging, right? It seemed to support her earlier thoughts that Heather was just really sick. But when no one answered the door after knocking for several minutes, Diane started to get worried, and she called Heather's mother and then the Germantown police. Diane's anxiety spilled over as the police arrived and searched Heather's home, and they found nothing. No blood, no broken furniture, no keys, no cell phone, wallet, and most of all, no Heather. The 33-year-old mother of two was nowhere to be found. Authorities immediately began searching the area around the residence and the townhouse the couple previously shared at Westminster Townhomes. Heather's dance instructor, Carrie Cooper, like we said, was also with the Memphis police. She went to Heather's house to have a look around herself. She combed every inch of the property. She looked in the storage shed, the nearby railroad tracks, all over the yard. I mean, she couldn't find Heather or any evidence suggesting where her friend had gone. She then organized a search party of all Heather's friends and coworkers. She never turned up, just gone. Germantown police searched the area surrounding Heather's residence again on Wednesday the 17th, looking for clues. Search parties joined by Heather's friends and family were also called in to help the search on the south side of Poplar, west of Valverde. Hearts sank as people realized that the last contact anybody had with Heather was Monday at about 4:30 p.m. Well, except her husband, Chris. Chris, it would seem, had seen her Monday night, the night she went missing. Heather's husband, Chris Jones, was interviewed at his home by the police, and they characterized him as being, quote, vague and showing no emotion. They asked him to come down to the station to be formally interviewed, and he agreed. While talking with the police, he gave them a copy of an email Heather had supposedly sent him. And even though Chris claimed he had never known his wife to be suicidal, the email seemed to indicate that she was either considering some sort of self-harm or she had run off. The email was short and said, quote, come get, and then their daughter's name. I cannot force everyone with this. Please forgive me. It is too much. Please raise the children to remember me as their loving mommy.
I don't know about that.
The police also checked his phone and found several text messages starting at about 1:30 a.m. Tuesday morning, begging Heather to call him and to, quote, not do this and never wanted this. Based on the email he got from her, the text messages were supposed to insinuate that Chris was trying to stop Heather from taking her own life. However, besides his few random text messages to her, it didn't seem like he was trying very hard to save her life. There's no record of him calling 911 for a welfare check or to report a possible suicide. He just simply went to bed. Her friends and family couldn't fathom that Heather would take her own life, considering how much she loved her children, how long and hard she worked to get her degree, and just how hard she'd worked to transform her body for the better. It just didn't make any sense to them. I mean, why would she work so hard for positive changes in her life and then reach those goals only to end her life? So within days, her friends put up flyers all over town. During the preliminary investigation, Chris Jones kept changing his story about the night Heather went missing. He made accusations that she had recently hooked up with a guy she'd gone to high school with by the name of Edward. However, when investigators interviewed Heather's friends and family, they discovered some disturbing information. It seems Heather had emailed her cousin Diane on April 12, 2013, just 3 days before she went missing. The email said that she had heard steps in her apartment in the middle of the night, and thinking that it was her daughter going to the bathroom, she just rolled over and went back to sleep, only to discover the next day that her phone was missing. And even though she always slept with her phone right beside her on the bed, she still searched the whole house and she just couldn't find it.
That's creepy.
When she got to work, she used her work computer to check her Gmail and discovered that all the emails that she had sent to her lawyer had been deleted, along with all the emails that she had sent to her mother.
What?
Now, all these emails just were deleted. Mm-hmm. Now, most would agree that if for somebody to break into your house, steal your phone, delete your email, is way beyond creepy.
Very.
Mm-hmm. It verges on psychopathic and deranged behavior. But deleting the emails on Heather's end doesn't necessarily delete the emails on the end of the receiver. Obviously, we know who did this, right? It was Chris. But did he do this just to mess with her? I mean, did he not understand how email works? Right?
Probably not.
Either way, what terrified Heather most was that not only had Chris read every single email and knew her private thoughts, but he'd snatched the phone from her bed while she was sleeping in it.
So
you know me, you
terrifying.
know that's one of my big, scary, hate it. It's my hate it. Police also discovered that Edward, the man that Chris Jones had claimed his wife was having an affair with, was Edward Rollerson. Heather and Edward dated back in high school for several years. However, the two had moved to separate states, and that pretty much ended their relationship. But they always kept in touch. Rollerson lived about 7 hours away from Heather, all the way on the other side of Tennessee, and he was quickly cleared of having anything to do with Heather's disappearance. They weren't having any physical relationships. They were just friends.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Chris didn't know or believe that, and actually, Chris pretended to be Heather in a text message to Rollerson.
Ew.
And the text was sexually explicit, like he was sexting Edward.
Had they not done that before? Because I think
they were friends.
That would be shocking.
Uh-huh. Now, Rollerson liked Heather, right?
Mm-hmm.
Always pined for her. From high school, they dated for years. It just didn't really work out, Rollerson thought that Jones was actually Heather, and he flirted back. Chris also sent Heather's lawyer an email pretending to be her. When Chris's own divorce lawyer discovered all this, he dropped Chris as a client.
Yeah, I should hope so.
It's creepy, and it's not cool at all.
Oof.
Police soon learned that Edward was on the phone with Heather when Chris knocked on her door that night she went missing. Edward told the police that from what he could hear, Heather was trying to get her husband out of the residence so he wouldn't wake their daughter. Edward said that he heard Heather say, quote, "What do you mean it's life or death?"
Oh.
She then told Rollerson that she'd call him back, but he never heard from her again. Now, Chris's story, you're not going to be surprised at all, was quite different.
Mm-hmm.
He said he'd gone to Heather's apartment to return some Christmas lights.
Mm-hmm.
Chris said everything was fine, they didn't fight or argue, and that they, quote, drank margaritas and talked.
Mm-hmm.
He did mention that Edward Rollerson had called his wife while he was there. Chris claimed that he did go back to the apartment and Heather wasn't home, but the door was unlocked, so he just let himself in, went upstairs to where his daughter was sleeping, and took her back to his house.
Really?
Uh-huh.
I think that's an abduction for sure.
You wouldn't call the police to let them know that
The adult's not home?
The adult's not home. I mean, he wanted divorce, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect thing to claim your wife's not being a very good parent, leaving a small child at home alone.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. He said he then returned a third time, but the house was locked up and dark. So he returned home to send those half-hearted text messages. So according to Chris, we are supposed to believe that Heather emailed Chris to come get their daughter. Email, not a text, which would have been, more immediate. And then Chris left her apartment. But then Chris went back and got their daughter. And then Heather came home. But then Chris went back to her apartment for some unknown reason. And Heather had apparently returned home and locked up her house. Mm-hmm. Right? That's how it's supposed to be.
Right.
But it would make more sense if Heather had just driven the daughter to his house and then gone home to hurt herself. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. But that's not the story that Chris told. And the reason for his story is Chris was seen by several people driving around in the middle of the night while his children were left unattended. And he needed to have an excuse as to why he was out driving at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Without his children.
Mm-hmm.
On February 4th, The Minds of Madness is set to release an investigative 4-part series centered on a cold case from nearly 4 decades ago.
At first, it was just, my mom's gone. And then it became, your mom was taken by a bad man.
They found video of him killing women.
If you'd ever watched any episodes of Breaking Bad, that's exactly what you would see.
He buried these 11 women and kept going out there. He made a road going out there.
You got this dude saying, hey, I'm going to show your family these pictures. And, he's secretly taping her.
The cops don't care. We're nothing to them.
Dumped her like a piece of garbage,
I don't see anything that screams there's 2 people doing this.
I never thought anything was going to come of this case. Ever.
Listen to the Minds of Madness series, Who Killed Jennifer, starting February 4th, wherever you get your podcasts.
Now, because Chris changed his story several times and told the police that, quote, he needed to return to the scene, which was Heather's apartment, on 2 occasions, the police were able to get search warrants for the townhome on Aldwych and Heather's car. They were also able to get a tracking device for Chris's car. In searching the Poplar Avenue residence, police found no evidence of anybody drinking margaritas. I mean, there was no glasses, no tequila, no mixer, and there was nothing in the trash. A search of Heather's residence by cadaver dogs indicated decomposition in 3 areas of the house. The police asked Chris to come in for another interview. Arriving for that interview, Jones left his car in the parking garage about a half a mile from the police headquarters and took a 5-minute walk to the station. Police could determine where he parked his car because of a tracking device. And while police were questioning Jones, the cadaver dogs searched at least 8 cars in the garage attached to Office Max on Poplar Avenue south of the police station before, quote, displaying positive alerts for human decomposition on Mr. Jones's blue 4-door 1996 Geo Prism. Chris, of course, would use the old, quote, oh, I pick up roadkill a lot.
Does one do that a lot?
Yeah, well, he just used this as an excuse on why the dogs would smell decomposition in the car. And what he and many other master criminals don't seem to understand is that the dogs, they're trained to only pick up human decomposition.
Yep.
Only. Remember when we went to CrimeCon? And yeah, the canine dogs, that was the best thing ever. I loved every minute of it. It was fascinating how much they know and really can smell. Like 1 drop of blood in an Olympic-sized pool, they can hone in on it. It's fascinating.
It's crazy.
So after several hours of interrogation on April 23rd, Chris Jones confessed to killing the mother of his children, Heather. He, of course, claimed that it was just a fight that got out of hand. He claimed that they fought over the cell phone and she just simply fell and hit her head. But, of course, he would later backtrack and claim that she hanged herself and that he had removed her body and tried to get rid of the evidence of her suicide to protect her children from learning the truth and to protect their, quote, marital covenant. And Chris Jones was charged with 2nd-degree murder. There's no way to know for sure if the killing of his wife was premeditated or if it really was just a fight that got out of hand. But you got to consider the fact that he had stolen Heather's phone and deleted her emails before he killed her. And so he must have known that Heather would find out about the phone theft and the deleted emails, and she would have taken legal action against him. Could have or would have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, could it be that he wasn't worried about the legal repercussions because he knew that he was going to kill her? You know, not to mention stealing her phone and sending himself the, quote, suicide email sounds a lot like premeditation. On April 24th, Chris Jones led authorities to where he dumped Heather's body. In a secluded area off US 64, east of Collierville, Arlington Road, police found Heather's burned body wrapped in an air mattress, bound with nylon rope. Chris claimed he wanted to give his wife a Viking burial, even though nothing ever indicated that he was a Viking or that he worshipped the Norse gods. I mean, in fact, he'd been reading the Bible when the police had shown up in his home.
Yeah, because he knew what was coming.
And the Bible was open to the book of Malachi, in which God states how much he hates divorce. And we all know that Chris burned Heather's body to try to get rid of evidence, probably hoping that there would be no remains left to find. And realizing the horrific condition of her body and how it looked to investigators, he decided right on the spot to suddenly become a Viking and say, oh, yeah, it was a funeral pyre.
Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people do that these days.
Oh, yeah.
Those Viking funerals, I mean.
Mm-hmm. Without anybody knowing that she had passed.
Mm-hmm.
News of finding Heather's body traveled quickly, and her friends and family were devastated. The Achievement School District, where Heather worked, released the following statement. Today we are grieving from the loss of Heather Jones, one of our teachers, and a great human being who filled our school with joy. We were notified earlier that we lost Heather. She was a kindergarten teacher at Fraser Achievement Elementary School. Heather was a model teacher, bringing the love and joy of life and learning to her students and fellow teachers daily. She brought a spirit to the Fraser community that will never be replaced. Her dedication to her students was evident in everything she did, and her legacy will live with us forever. Our thoughts and prayers are with Heather's children and family and the entire Fraser Elementary community at this difficult time. Heather was positively identified through DNA and dental records. Her body was so decomposed and charred that it only weighed 70 pounds.
Oh.
Her hyoid bone was broken, consistent with strangulation, and there were also fractures to her neck. While investigators didn't find any blood in Heather's apartment during the initial search for her, they did find evidence of blood all over her apartment when they used luminol, that miracle elixir, luminol. When Chris Jones went to court, the jury concluded that he had premeditated the murder of his wife, and they found him guilty of first-degree murder, and he was soon sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He was also found guilty of abuse of a corpse. He, of course, appealed this case, but it was denied.
Good.
Heather's family also sued him in a private lawsuit because they alleged that Heather's 8-year-old daughter, who was at home with her mother that night, witnessed the fight between her parents and, ultimately, her death. The money the family sought in the lawsuit was to help the children. And since it was a private lawsuit, we couldn't really find out how it turned out. But chances are it was mostly symbolic anyway, because they were suing for $5 million, and Chris didn't even have $5 to his name. In the months following Heather's murder, her mother, Pansy Swinson, became an activist, showing up at rallies and races to benefit domestic abuse. Quote, whether it's raising money for shelters, donating clothes for victims, or just letting the world know that there are faces behind the numbers, my daughter's life still has meaning, Swinson said. The media was very quick to zoom in on Heather's weight loss for being the catalyst for her murder. Quote, she was like a butterfly coming out of her cocoon, one friend said. And while it is certainly true, she did blossom out of her cocoon as a beautiful butterfly. You know, most butterflies aren't brutally murdered by their husband, correct?
That would be correct. Happens more than we know, though.
Most people want to live a good, healthy life, and most people want to reach a place where they evolve into something better. Nobody wants to go backwards. Nobody wants to be denied becoming their best selves. All Heather did was move forward. Unfortunately, quote, husband kills wife because he's a pathetic loser just doesn't get as many clicks as woman gets murdered because she lost 160 pounds.
Right.
There's something particularly heartbreaking about a person dying at the hands of violence when they're just getting their life together and just when the doors of opportunity are opening wide. This case isn't about Heather being murdered because she lost weight. It's about Heather being murdered because her husband felt intimidated by her success, by her transformation, and ultimately by her power and belief in herself to restore her life. I mean, if he hadn't cheated, hadn't been violent, hadn't belittled her, he might have been along for the ride. And it's possible he could have ridden right to the top of success with her. But instead, he chose the path of destruction and shame.
Jealous.
So if you are, well, it's control, I think. I think it was totally about control. I mean, if you might have had to get a job. You know what I mean? I mean, at one point at Dateline, Heather's cousin said that at the beginning, Chris told Heather that he felt that if she was in a bigger body, that it would be more attractive to him. But then when she got a bigger body, he was like, oh, nobody's going to want you. Nobody's going to want you now, right? Nobody, because they'll look at the way you look. Nobody's going to want you. Only I love you this way, right? So he used her weight to control her.
Wow.
Oh, it's horrible. Horrible. But I will say that if you are suffering from domestic violence and you need help, please call the hotline at 1-800-799-7233. Get out of there.
Wow.
Talk to somebody.
When she knew, she knew. Poor thing.
Yeah. And also, I mean, you brought up earlier something about he maybe was a sexual thing to feed her, to get her heavy. And I kind of wonder if that's a little bit of it too. And then trying to just control. I don't know. It could have been. Because feederism is the people who become aroused by feeding their partners and encouraging them to gain weight, which it sounds like he did. But whether it was an actual fetish for him or just a control issue, I don't know. But it's sad. I mean, if you watch the Dateline episode, let me see which one it is. It's on Peacock right now, and it's season 23, episode 33. There's videos of her dancing in her class, and she's got like this huge permagrin on her face, and she's dancing her heart out, and her body's all into it. And I mean, she looks so happy and just, I don't know.
You said he graduated high school, but then never really had a job either, right? So like by her leaving, not only were her...
No, he didn't. It wasn't that. It was he didn't graduate college. I don't know about high school. But yeah, he was meandering around in his life.
Yeah. And so her walking out the door meant his lifestyle just ended,
right.
You know? Mm-hmm.
I mean, immediately. She spent 10 years to go to college because she was working and going to school when he was taking care of the kids.
Yeah.
I'm not for sure if he had a job there or not. Just, I don't know.
Control is
it is control.
Wow.
But that's it. That was the request from Holly Elenor. She
Thanks,
sent that to me a while ago. So thank you so much.
That's something else. Whew. I hate that. I hate hearing that kind of stuff. It's just awful and happens a lot. Not cool when you get in that situation. So Jen, on another note, I
switching it up here a little bit.
You put a little something on the Facebooks.
I did about a little announcement. It was Wednesday, Thursday. I did, yes. I
Do you want to tell everybody?
Well, I hope it's exciting for other people. I know it's exciting for us. But Cam and I have decided that we kind of want to go on vacation with some of you all.
Yes, we do.
We want to do a dark history tour in the UK.
Across the pond.
And
so you guys can get my accent all the time.
We want 28 of our closest friends to come with us to the UK, where we will fly into Edinburgh and we will spend 3 days there. And then we will travel down to York, where we will spend, I think, 2 days there. And then we will travel on to London, where we will spend the remainder of the time, 3 days, I think, 4 days there. And each place, we will have a personalized tour guide that will take us everywhere. We will be on chartered buses. We will be treated like royalty. The hotels are 4-star hotels. We get 1 meal a day. It's going to be so much fun. And the tours, we are trying to surround them around crime and
dark history.
And dark history. Yeah.
Little dark history.
Crime. And like in Edinburgh, we're going to go on a tour to the underground caverns where people used to live. I think it's during the plague. I'm not for sure. I don't know. All I know is it's creepy and it's supposed to be haunted. I read a story where somebody was standing there and something tried to grab her hand. Creeped me out.
It just gave me the goosebumps.
I know. And then in York, we're going to go visit there. There's so much to do in this little town of York.
Super
There's
cute.
a way called the Shambles, which was actually the inspiration for Hollywood's Diagon Alley in Harry Potter.
Mm.
And then, of course, in London, we're going to do all things London, and we're going to go see the Tower of London and of course, the Ravens. The Ravens are always there, and all sorts of other things in London. There's even the final tour is going to be a murder mystery dinner, which I've been to a couple of them, and I think they're so much fun. We actually went to one in CrimeCon. Do you remember that?
I do. I
The
sure
CrimeCon?
do.
Yeah,
I sure
it
do.
was so much fun. But anyway, we want you guys to join us. Actually, if we don't get enough people, we can't even go. We're hoping that we get enough people together that is just excited to, as we are, to go travel. Yeah. What do you want to add anything else?
I'm just going to say that to know us is to love us, and we promise you we will have a blast.
We will.
We really will.
Yeah. I mean, we're not the type of person that's just, you're going to get to know us.
Yes.
And to be
Probably
quite
more
honest,
than you want to.
and to be quite honest, if you guys don't come with us, we might kill each other.
Yeah. People have to be on best
like
behavior.
as siblings, you know what I mean? We're siblings, basically. Sisters from another mother is how that goes. But
Sisters from another mister.
we need you guys to be there. We want you guys to be there. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to post the link to the where you can go and look at everything. It's going to be in the show notes. I'm so excited. There's so much things to do. It's going to be a blast. I know you've been to the UK. I've never been to the UK, but I am I love everything. Is it an Anglophile? Is that what I am? I mean, I love the food. I love the TV. I watch the TV constantly, of British TV lately anyway. Yeah, I just love it. And I can't wait to actually go and experience it all. We need your help to go.
It's going to be so fun. It really will be fun.
It is going to be fun.
Can you tell everybody where they need to go to get the info?
Yeah, I'm going to post everything in the show notes, the link, and then we're going to post it on our truecrimepodcast.com, and you'll be able to see everything there.
And don't worry where you live, because hopefully we will be coming from all over the place and meet there. So,
if you are not in the United States, you can still come. You do have to book your airfare separately, but you will just book the tour package. And if you're in the U.S. and you want to not fly with them, right? You want to use points or something like that, you can do that too. You can just book the trip and you can pay your own airline however you want to do it.
Yes.
But I will say, once you go online, what's included is your airline, a meal a day, your trips to and from the airport, your trips to the tours. The tours are free. It's a personalized tour. So we are going to get our own personal tour guide to take us through everything.
This really is going to Europe with Jen and Cam from our True Crime Podcast. That's exactly what this is. We got a tour company to build exactly what we wanted.
Right.
So there you go.
Gonna be a good time. And we want you guys to join us in our good time. Come get to know us. We want to get to know you. There's it has to stop at 30 people. So we're only taking 28 people. So what do you say, Camille? The first 15 to book? What do you want to do?
I'd say first 15. We're going to throw you a little something extra.
Yeah.
We'll let it be a surprise. Maybe. I don't know. Just kind of think of a famous killer that operated in Whitechapel. Just think about that. We'll just leave it there.
Gosh, who would that be? Who would that be?
So the first 15 people that sign up, we're going to add something to your portion for free. add a little, outing, if you will. There you go.
And we're hoping to also get somebody to commission somebody to make us all special British t-shirts with OTCP special.
So that we look, so everybody knows that we have arrived. Oh boy. Anyway.
On the other side of the pond. Anyway, go to ourtruecrimepodcast.com and find all the information. It will have the link. I will also put the link in the show notes so you can access it from there. And it's going to be so much fun. It's a once in a lifetime trip. And I'm telling you, if we actually get to do this, if we get enough people to do this, this might be a regular thing.
Yep.
We might go more places.
Could you imagine?
It'd be a blast.
Jim and Can run the world. That'd be something.
Into the ground. Yes.
Exactly.
But yeah. So if you sign up until the 21st, I believe you get an extra $100 off the trip. If you go online to book it, it's only showing $75 now. So you'd have to call and do it. When I booked mine, I talked to a lovely gentleman by the name of Jacob, and he was a lot of fun, and he was funny and easy to talk to guy. And yeah, easy to do it. Just booked it.
If you have any questions,
payment plans.
Yeah, if you have any questions, reach out to us. Jen and I, this is the first time we've ever done anything. So probably if you have a question that needs to be answered, we need it answered as well. So,
and I think what we might do, I haven't discussed this with Camille, so she's going to be just as shocked as you are. But if you are interested in it, maybe we can get a Zoom call all together.
Oh, yeah.
And Cam and I will sit with a Zoom call and we will discuss it. Just shoot us an email, and that's ourtruecrimepodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. We'll have maybe monthly meetings with everybody that goes just to go over, protocol, passports, insurance, anything, and what to kind of expect. Also, I think we forgot the very, very most important part of all of this.
What's that?
The date.
Oh, yeah, we do. We need the dates.
That'd be nice,
we do.
Wouldn't it?
And what are those dates again?
It is going to be June of 2025. So not this June. We wanted to have plenty of time for people to save and then look up stuff for people to do. And I believe, I'm looking it up because I just forgot.
I believe it's June 13th through the 22nd.
Yes, it is. That is it.
2025. So like I said, it's about 16 months from now?
Yeah.
Something like that. So there's plenty of time to save. And I know if you look at it, it's going to look like it's expensive. And I mean, it is expensive, but you have to remember that's including your airfare. That's including a meal a day. That's including all the tours. That's including stays at 4-star hotels. That's including a private chartered bus. It's including a private tour guide, like a tour guide that's just somebody that we can call our own.
Really?
So there's a lot of value to that. And when we're talking meals, they're not just little skimpy meals. That's breakfast. We were told that there'd probably be a full English breakfast, right? So there's your rashers, your eggs, your beans on toast, your whatever, I mean, it's going to be a full thing. So we're not skimping on this. If we're going to do this, we want to do it nice.
Yes, we do.
We're going to have fun.
So but really the last thing, and then we'll leave you guys alone. But so basically, once the trip's paid for, the only thing that you need then is your spending money. Anything that you want to spend,
extra meals if you want to eat.
Extra stuff.
Like for lunches or whatever. It's worth the money. And Camille and I are fun. I know we say that a lot, but we are fun.
Well, we could provide references that people that we've met, our listeners, that have now become our friends because they meet up with us and hang out. So it's pretty cool. It is fun. Right. And Jen and I do like to have fun. So there you go.
But anyway,
we won't tell you about the male, the two boys from New Orleans. Remember them? We made friends with them.
We met some male exotic dancers.
There you go. Well, I think it was a little bit more than that, Jen. Remember?
Well, yes, but that would be assuming. And we just, far as we know, they only, I know, but I'm trying to be nice.
I was going to say, they told us.
They're making a living. That's fine.
That's fine. Anyway, I'm just saying.
But here's the deal. We need your help. We need at least, 20 people to even get this booked. 20 people. So Cam and I have already done it. So we need an extra 18. And that's just to get this thing going. And then the top is 28 more people. So to make it go, all we need is you. We're just waiting for you guys. And
Must be
this is
fun.
your invite.
What a great girls trip. You know, if y'all have a husband out there or a boyfriend or a girlfriend and they don't like true crime, but you are all about it and dark history and being a nerd like me, because I love doing that kind of stuff. This would be get your best friends together. Let's go.
And come along. Or like
Game
me,
on.
my husband doesn't fly. If I don't go by myself or with girlfriends, I'll never get to go. So that's kind of like the catalyst for all this kind of stuff. We want to go and we need friends. We want more friends.
Yes,
Camille
we
and
do.
I feel more comfortable in a group than we do alone. So we're not wrong. But anyway, yes. Once again, if you want all the information, I'm going to put it in the show notes. And you can go to ourtruecrimepodcast.com and it will be on there. And it'll have the length of where you can go to get the itinerary. And here's a selling point for me. We're not going to be doing tours all the time. Every stop that we make are going to have a free day. You're going to have a free day to do whatever the heck you want, right? And if you want to spend it all day in bed, so be it. But not us. We're going to go and do stuff, right?
Heck yeah. I'm all about
So,
Yep.
yeah. So
All right.
it's going to be fun and we want you to join us.
I can't wait.
I can't either.
wait.
It's going to be a blast.
And it'll
It's
just
gonna
be
be
fun,
fun.
getting make new friends from all over the place, which is what we're good at.
Yeah. And hopefully if we do get to go, we can set up some meet and greets where we some of our listeners that are over in York or London can come meet us at a bar somewhere or a pub.
That's the game plan.
And
Yep.
we just need to get over there first. So,
Yep. That's awesome. All right.
all right. That's all we got.
That's
So
all we
hope
got.
you're excited about this as we are.
We are.
And
We are.
reach out if you have any questions. And like I said, we are going to do a Zoom call for those that have big questions. So
All righty.
there you go.
Okay. Now remember, lock your doors.
And keep passing by those open windows.
Bye-bye.
Love ya. For more information about this episode, as well as all other sources, please check out our show notes or the podcast website at ourtruecrimepodcast.com. Our True Crime Podcast is developed and created by the hosts, Jen and Cam. Original music and audio mix of all our True Crime Podcast episodes is courtesy of Nico Vertesi from We Talk of Dreams. You can reach Nico at wetalkofdreams.com. Listener discretion is provided by Edward October from OctoberPod VHS. You can find all of his great works on YouTube. Please make sure to like and subscribe to our True Crime Podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. We can be reached on Instagram and Facebook at Our True Crime Podcast or on Twitter with the handle at Our True Crime Pod. You can also email us at ourtruecrimepodcast@gmail.com. We would also at this time like to thank our patrons. We would be so lost without you. Thank you so much. And if you would like to help support the show, you can check us out on patreon.com/Our True Crime Podcast. You can also show your support by leaving a 5-star review on Apple or simply just tell your friends about us. It's that easy. Love ya.